My talk for today is freedom of thought and investigation in Buddhism. What makes the Buddha and Buddhism unique, dear Dhamma friends? Buddhism encourages inquiry. It grants freedom of thought. Buddhism, therefore, is a unique teaching. The Buddha invites his disciples to investigate whether he himself is truly enlightened or not. The Buddha, therefore, is a unique teacher. Buddhism is open to all. There are no secret teachings. While other teachers considered it a sin to question the authority of their sacred texts, Buddhism invites all those interested to come and see. According to Buddhism, one's salvation depends on the realization of the truth. So the Four Noble Truths lie within this fathom-long body. For emancipation, one should be able to think freely. Accepting a belief amounts to blind faith. One should think independently. Blind faith has no place in Buddhism. Understanding is very important in Buddhism, but mere belief is not important. One has to use free thinking, and one should not cling to false beliefs. So, free thinking and investigation are the hallmarks in Buddhism. Kalama Sutta is a good example. It is obvious that when there are so many teachings, confusion and doubt arise. When each teacher says that his teaching is correct and all others' teachings are wrong, anyone can get confused. So the Buddha provides an independent principle. We should use it to find what is right when our thoughts are in disarray. We should accept when we know for ourselves that certain beliefs are wholesome. We should reject when we know for ourselves that certain beliefs are unwholesome. So the individual has the freedom to choose, and this is the purpose in living a religious life. Therefore, freedom of choice makes freedom of thought meaningful. Then one is able to choose between alternative courses of action and follow what is wholesome. No other teacher except the Buddha gives such freedom to his disciples. This is the liberal and open attitude of the Buddha and his Dhamma. So in this respect, both the Buddha and Buddhism are unique. Some vision impaired people got the opportunity to perceive an elephant. The men touched the different parts of elephant's body. The one who touched the elephant's head shouted, "Oh, the elephant is like a big water jar." The one who touched the ear shouted, "It's like a winnowing basket." One who touched the tusk said, "It is like a plowshare." One who held the trunk said, "It is like a plow pole." One who got hold of its body shouted, saying, "It is like a storeroom." One who held the foot said, "It is like a post." One who touched and felt the backside of the elephant said, "It's like a mortar." One who felt the tail said, "It's like a pestle." One who managed to touch the tuft of hair at the end of the tail said, "All of you are fools. It's like a broom." In a moment, all blind men were quarreling and shouting. All of them tried to promote or justify their own views. Dear Dharma friends, similarly, there had been a conflict of dogmas among numerous religious teachers in ancient India when Buddhism emerged. The Brahmajala Sutta of the Digha Nikaya furnishes us with a record of no less than 62 such philosophical views found at the time of the Buddha. Once the Buddha visited Kesaputta, a township in North India inhabited by the people of Kalama clan. Kalamas flocked to the Buddha and said that their township had become a hotbed of religious disputation. Kalamas, being puzzled as to which view was true among the different views that had been announced before them, the Buddha preached Kalama Sutta, ensuring some basic rights and privileges of the truth seeker. The Buddha preached 10 statements. Accordingly, a view is not to be accepted due to revealing or disclosing. Number 2, tradition. Number 3, hearsay, that is receiving from other people. Number 4, authority of sacred texts. Number 5, logical format. Number 6, merely on the view that seems rational. Number 7, reflection on mere appearance. Number 8, agreement with a considered view. Number 9, considering the competence of a person. Number 10, considering that the recluse is our teacher. Further, on questioning, when the Kalamas stated firmly that greed, hatred, and delusion are not conducive to one's happiness, the Buddha continued, "On reflection, when you know for certain, O Kalamas, for yourself, that any view is contributory to the arising of greed, hatred, and delusion, you may then give up that view as unwholesome." On reflection, when you know for certain, O Kalamas, for yourself, that any view is contributory to the removal of greed, hatred, and delusion, you may then accept that view as wholesome. It is quoted from the Kalama Sutta. Once Upali, the Jain householder, visited the Buddha with the hope of defeating him by refuting the Buddha's standpoint. But ultimately, at the end of the religious controversy, he was so thoroughly impressed that he apologized to the Buddha and announced that he would thenceforth take the Buddha as his refuge and become a follower. Thereupon the Buddha told Upali thrice not to be emotional and sentimental. Analytical reasoning is better for persons of your status. You are a person of good fame. It is quoted from Upali Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. In one of the discourses, the Buddha asked his disciples to examine whether the professed enlightenment of the Buddha was factual and real. It is quoted from Vimansaka Sutta Majjhima Nikaya. The attitude of true inquiry of the Buddha is nicely summarized in a stanza found in the Jnanasara Samuccaya, a Sanskrit Buddhist text on logic. I quote, "As the wise test gold by burning, cutting, and rubbing it on a piece of touchstone, so are you to accept my words after examining them and not merely out of regard for me." I unquote. Freedom in Buddhism is worth considering. The Buddha encouraged people to think for themselves, to reason out and test for themselves. The Buddha advised people not to be bound by any blind belief. No dogmas find footing in his teaching. He emphasized the importance of free thought and encouraged investigation. One day the Buddha was traveling along the high road accompanied by a number of disciples. As it was getting dark, he took lodgings for the night at a place reserved for the members of royal families. In those days, rulers allowed the monks, recluses, and ascetics to use their places of rest as their temporary lodgings. The leader of a religious movement also took lodgings in the same place. Towards evening, some of the Buddha's disciples who were walking up and down in the compound of the building overheard a discussion between the ascetic teacher and his chief disciple. The teacher was criticizing the Buddha, but his chief disciple was admiring and praising the Buddha, his teachings, and his disciples in many ways. They were quite contrary to each other in their views. In the following morning, those bhikkhus told the Buddha about what they heard the previous evening. Thereupon the Buddha advised them, saying, "Brethren, when you hear others speak ill of me, my teaching, or my followers, don't let it hurt your feelings. Don't get angry. If you are hurt and get angry, how could you judge whether they were right or not right in their criticism? Be impartial on such occasions and think about what they say of us. When you see they were not correct, and if you feel it is necessary, tell them where they were wrong, but do not be hurt. If you are hurt on that account, it will be a hindrance to your self-development. Suppose others praise me, my teachings, or my disciples. Don't be proud on that account either. If you be proud, how could you judge whether they were right or wrong in their praise? Be impartial and judge. If you see they were right, approve of that, but do not be proud. If you were proud on that account, it would also be an obstacle to your own spiritual development. This is the Buddha's way. It is important to live a wholesome life following the path shown by the Buddha. One day, one of the Buddha's disciples, who were deeply devoted to and adoring him, was sitting before him, gazing at his saintly and most handsome form. The Buddha knew that and told him, "What is the use of looking at this body, a mass of flesh and bones, etc.? Go from here and look at the Dhamma." That means practice virtues, follow the path. Whether you make such homage or not, it is not so important as living a wholesome life, pure in deed, word, and thought. If you try to be pure in your life this way, you are a real follower of the Buddha. Dear Dharma friends, respect for other teachers is a salient feature in Buddhism. From the Buddhist point of view, one should never ridicule a great teacher merely because he was not a Buddhist in name. There were great teachers like Confucius, Jesus, and many others. A Buddhist should not disparage them. If one disparages any of them, he does it from disdain, which is against the Buddha's teachings. Thus, freedom of investigation and religious tolerance are encouraged in Buddha's teachings. There is another account of a certain wandering recluse who had a discussion with the Buddha concerning the differences between each other's doctrine. At this instance, the Buddha said, "Well, my friend, though we discuss our views and practices, don't think that I am trying to convert you to my side. I don't want to do so. You may go on your own way, but let us see whether we both practice as we teach." Thus, there is full freedom of thought and speech in the teachings of the Buddha. You should not get angry when others say things with which you do not agree. Listen to them and judge impartially whether they are right or wrong. This is the Buddha's way. The Buddha espoused the cause of interreligious amity. He maintained a very cordial and sincere relationship with the contemporary religious teachers. The Buddha visited the dwelling places or monasteries of other religious leaders and held Dhamma discussions and exchanged views very warmly. Many were convinced and decided to follow the Buddha Dhamma on their own will. This is the Buddha's way. Dear Dhamma friends, Dhamma is not intended for all, understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge. In other words, Dhamma is not an esoteric teaching induced by the teacher in the pupil. It is not a secret doctrine. Dhamma is wide open. It is accessible for everyone. It speaks as clearly as the sun and the moon. The Dhamma proclaimed by the Buddha glistens or shines when open and not when shrouded or closed. There is none or nothing hidden in Dhamma. Many followers praise the Buddha in this regard. For example, Alavaka said to the Buddha, the Blessed One, "Most excellent, O Gautama, is thy teaching, most excellent. Just as a man would set upright what is overturned, reveal what is concealed, point out the way to one gone astray, bring an oil lamp into the darkness so that those with eyes could see objects. Even so, the Dhamma doctrine has been declared in many a manner by the Venerable Gautama. I take refuge in the Venerable Gautama, the Buddha, in the Dhamma, the teaching, and in the Sangha, the order. May the Venerable Gautama accept me as a disciple who has taken refuge from this day forth while life lasts." This is the Buddha's way. Dear Dhamma friends, the Dhamma, the Buddha's doctrine, is not for mere appreciation or for mere possessing it as some property. It is for crossing over the ocean of suffering, the ocean of samsara or repeated existence. It is for teaching, it is for reaching the safe and secure shore of the deathless Nibbana. The Dhamma is like a raft to ford across a stretch of water. It is not for retaining. One has to give up good things, Dhamma. How much more the evil things, Adhamma. The Dhamma, according to the commentary here, means calm or concentration of mind and insight. Clinging even to such high mental attainments should be given up. Need one speak of evil things? Dear Dhamma friends, I would like to draw your attention to the speech delivered on the topic Practical Application of Mindfulness in Daily Life by Venerable Olande Ananda Mahathir. It was the 20th Sir Baron Jayatilaka Memorial Lecture held at YMBA, Young Men's Buddhist Association. It is relevant to our topic today. I quote, ideologies, however clever, however carefully thought out, ultimately bring about dangerous illusions, whether they are the ideologies of the right, center, or the extreme left. They all end up either in great bureaucracies controlling man, or in concentration camps, or the destructive molding of man according to a particular concept. This is what is happening throughout the world. The intellectuals have led us to this point. The Mahathera continues, we have been prisoners of religious ideologies and dogmas, the Catholic, the Hindu, the Buddhist, and so on, and the gurus with their modern modifications of the ancient traditions and ideologies are also the prisoners of those ideologies. The Mahathero further states, if one observes all this carefully, impersonally, objectively, one realizes that one must put away all ideologies and ask oneself whether consciousness with its content, which is what one is, with all one's conflicts, struggles, confusions, misery, and occasional happiness, can become aware of itself and empty itself. That is one problem in meditation. I unquote. This speech or the extract is an eye-opener to the theme of freedom of thought and investigation in Buddhism. To be free from ideologies or dogmas is the bedrock of free inquiry in Buddhism. Dear Dharma friends, dependent arising or dependent origination is a basic but a profound teaching of Buddhism. It refutes or rejects many contemporary teachings which were based on the concept of Creator God. It clearly demonstrates how things are multiple caused. It states that things are neither causeless nor due to one single cause. The doctrine of causal genesis is not the work of a divine power. It is not a creation. During the time of the Buddha, there was a monk called Sati who held the view that the same consciousness transmigrates and wanders about in rebirth. The Buddha rejected this wrong view. Consciousness, according to this teaching, arises out of conditions. Apart from conditions, there is no arising of consciousness. The Buddha corrected the wrong view of monk Sati. What transmigrates and wanders about in rebirth is neither the same consciousness nor another. Dear Dhamma friends, the Buddhist attitude to poverty, wealth, and economic resources is worth discussing here. The Buddha's teaching of dependent origination can be applied to the society. The Chakravarti Sihanada Sutta mentions about the fact that political authority is valid only on the basis of two factors. That is the common consent of the people. The other one is the adherence to righteousness. The Buddha analyzes the causes leading to crisis in the society. When poverty is rampant, the people resort to vices of numerous kinds. The king, according to Buddhism, is obliged to take precautionary steps by analyzing the root causes of unrest and to make the life of his citizens secure, safe, and prosperous. The importance of the importance attached to the observance of 10 principles by the universal monarch in ruling the country is emphasized in the discourse throughout. It can be compared with the 10 duties of a king mentioned by the Buddha in a different context. That is, number 1, giving; number 2, moral integrity; number 3, philanthropy; number 4, uprightness; number 5, gentleness; number 6, self control; number 7, absence of anger; number 8, non violence; number 9, patience; and final one, the number 10, absence of obstruction of the will of the people. Absence of obstruction of the will of the people. It is worthwhile to recall that the 7 conditions of welfare preached by the Buddha to the Vajins are also important. Dear Dhamma friends, as mentioned in the Jata Sutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, Sutta Nipata, a question was posed from the Buddha in this manner: tangle within, tangle without. People are entangled in a tangle. I ask you this, Gautama, who can disentangle this tangle? The Buddha answered thus: a wise person, grounded in ethics, developing the mind and wisdom, a keen and alert mendicant. They can disentangle this tangle. With this takeaway Dhamma thought, my talk comes to an end. I thank you for your patient hearing. May your upward path be smooth, sure, and steady.